Oh, nice. Yeah, not good. Alrighty. Good morning. How's everyone going? So this is a video call, I guess, obviously, as you can see. I've got my guest here, Dan Bourke, who I'll introduce in a sec, but I just wanted to explain a little bit about the premise. I'm keen to learn new things and upskill wherever I can. And this is just another stepping stone for that. So learning heaps of things, and it's been a pretty good season for that. And that's just one of the things I've committed to. So Dan, my first guest, has been very gracious in offering some time up to just chat about the state of affairs and, just to get to know each other a little bit more. And I've got some notes here, so I'll just continue reading the notes. I'll introduce him and then I'll throw it to him. How are you going, by the way? Sorry, Dan.
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Very good. Very good. So I'll just jump straight into your background, mate. So experience in the energy sector, particularly around power, all things electrical, I put there.
Yep.
And one of the things actually that caught my eye on your profile is you spent some time at Red Eye Apps, which we can go into later on in the session. But so basically the company you've been working for now, you guys have pivoted in a way that's been quite beneficial for your company right now. But what's your current thing that you're doing right now, I guess?
So I guess you touched on a bit there. I've had a fairly diverse background, so I'm an electrician by trade, but I've been through the electrical industry, then through mining industry, and back through high voltage electrical, and then also had a as you said, through Red Eye there for a little bit, which was a startup and a tech innovator. So based around some of the energy industry. So, and now I'm working for Australia's leading lighting company, which is Peerlight. So, and running Queensland business for them. So, I've been around the place, and I've been through from a trade background, contracting background, to to a government-owned organisation, then to now I'm in a supplier side of things as well. So it's actually pretty interesting seeing the different ways that people operate in this sort of sector. So, I'm really enjoying it, and I've been here for coming up 12 months now. So, and whilst it was a challenging business when I came into it 12 months ago, and then even more challenging now 12 months down the track, and we've got this sort of environment where it's changed the whole dynamic of business over the last couple of months. So,
I'm just going to go straight into that one. So what's right now, given the state of affairs, obviously with the crisis in mind, which also is an opportunity, I guess you could say, like what's the one thing that you've found difficult, I guess, in terms of, your day-to-day business and supporting like your clients and stuff like that?
Yeah, so predominantly our customers are electrical wholesalers and electrical contractors, right? So the majority of our sales to those guys is on a face-to-face basis. So, so now that you can't do a face-to-face call, that's the biggest challenge, right? And how we had to, like you said before, pivot to moving to these sort of video conferences and getting my guys to change their thinking and change their whole sales technique to adapt to a screen or a phone rather than on a face-to-face, because these guys in our industry, it's pretty traditional where, you know, you build a relationship with a guy and that's how the business is done, right? They build trust and that's it. But when you can't see it, you can't be in front of them, it changes how we do business. So,
100%.
and particularly for those of my area managers who haven't been in the business very long and they're trying to build their relationships with these guys, and now you have to do it over a video conference. It's been a real challenge for them. But I guess the advantage of that is that the whole country has had to do it. The whole world has had to do it. So it's not just trying to do something different and we're doing something different to our competitors. It's everybody's having to adapt to this now, and they're starting to work into that. It's taken a little bit of time, particularly with some of our main customers, for them to get on board with it. But we're starting to see some traction now where, you know, they're actually accepting meetings, and we're doing presentations of product and all that sort of stuff over video conference. So it's it's starting to get some good traction.
Yeah, right. I just want to touch a little bit on that relationship building. It may be relevant, but similar to kind of my experience working in the mining industry, it's a very face-to-face type of relationship that you have. And I mean, one of the things for me that I don't know if it's my personality or just something I've picked up, is I would rather see someone face-to-face or pick up the phone versus like write an email. And so I think I can kind of get what you're saying is, hey, this is my methodology of like trying to build a relationship. And then all of a sudden, like the rug's just pulled out from under me. So it's good to hear that they've pivoted in that way. And technology.
And then some of the you're right. And some people adjust quicker than others, and some of my team have picked it up a lot more quickly than some of the other guys did, and they needed a lot more. Some others needed more coaching as well on how to talk to people over a video conference and still have the same conversation, be able to read the response from somebody too in that space. So so I think when you're face to face, you can read what people, you know, the body language and all sorts of stuff. It's a lot harder to do in this sort of structure. So it's interesting. But I mean, my guys, you know, the sales team generally work remotely anyway because they're out on the road. But what I found is that they used to be driving to customer to customer to customer, and that time that they were driving is inefficient and it's wasting time. Whereas now, when working from home, they've gained a lot of this efficiency and they seem to be more productive, and it gives them more time to dig in and do some analysis on the data and have more meaningful conversations with people.
Wow.
Whereas before, they were driving to a wholesaler, spend half an hour or an hour to drive somewhere, walk in the door, say, hey, how you going? And they're not as prepared. Whereas now they're sitting down, going through the data, working out and going, actually, I'm going to talk to them about this, and this. And they're actually having a really meaningful conversation, and they're getting more out of it. And then they're doing more of those conversations in the same time that they were doing these driving around the country. So it's actually been a really good piece, I think, for our business moving forward, because it's actually, they're smarter, right? They're actually got their tools, and they're having those, you know, conversations. So
you could say
I think it's been a real positive. Absolutely, guaranteed. The challenge you have is with working from home is getting the commitment to doing what you're doing and not getting distracted, I suppose. So that's where we've given them a lot of information on routines. So getting these guys into a routine and giving them call plans, and so, plan out your weekly call plans and get into a routine of having your breaks and doing certain things in the mornings and the afternoons, so that, you know, it feels like you're at the office or feels like you're doing a day's work. So you get into that structure. So I think that's really important for our guys, and that's how they've sort of adapted better in that space.
Wow. I love that. Yeah, we, the consultancy that I'm just doing some work with right now, and hopefully into the foreseeable future, we've set up 3 sort of daily touch points. So one in the morning, one at lunchtime, and one in the afternoon. I haven't actually logged in because I'm sort of semi on holiday, but it's like you said, that structure just helps understanding where people are at and keeping that touch point, like you said. So that's really good. Yeah,
I think it's important. We do daily huddles in the morning. They're just short, sharp, anything I need to tell them. Hey guys, this is this, go around the room, you know, the virtual room, of course. And, you know, anyone got any questions, anyone need anything, you know, that sort of scenario first up in the morning, just to get them kicked off. then any sort of feedback. But we've also found that when we first started doing these for the remote guys, all the cameras were off all the time, and you're talking to a couple of initials on the screen in Teams or something. But it's not as you don't get the interaction, right? So that's why we push for them. Every Teams meeting we have internally, everyone has to have their cameras on, regardless of where they are, whether they're driving, whatever it is.
Love that,
because you need to have that connection. And it took us a little while to get everybody onto that, but that's what happens now. We don't start the meeting until everyone's camera's on.
Hey, your camera's on.
Yeah, so exactly. We call them out. So your camera's off, and we're not starting until you turn your cameras on. It doesn't matter where they are. So I think that's important, and keeping up that communication and that sort of face-to-face stuff is really important. So normally you would send an email to someone sitting, just down in the office here, but now we're actually dialing up and just talking to them over the video conference. So,
wow.
I think that's and that's the hardest part about the culture of your business, right? So we've worked over the last 12 months. I worked pretty hard on building the culture within this business because it had some challenges when I came in.
Yep.
And so now for me, it's about how do I maintain and build that culture when everybody's remote and they're not here and I can't be face to face with them. So that's something that I still am working on, but. But I think the video calls are getting there, but you can't do any of the social aspect that you would normally do to build culture. So It'll be interesting to see how our businesses do this moving forward, and definitely keen to hear if anyone's got any tips there about culture and maintaining people's, that positivity and the drive and the connection to your business whilst they're not actually physically in your business, I suppose.
100%. Yeah. Look, I'm as dire as the situation is for a lot of people, potentially including myself, there's always opportunity as well. So I like your attitude around, continuing. Sounds like you already were focused on building relationship and culture. And so this is just another layer to navigate. So I like that. I'm just going to I'm going to change gears a little bit, mate. I'm really interested actually to understand what was your first job and how it came about, what, include as much detail as you want, or how you got it. Were you introduced to someone, or you knew someone in the company? What was your journey with that first stepping stone to in the workforce?
Yep. Yeah, well, I guess so my first informal job was actually working for my old man. He's a builder, so every school holidays and that I was on a building site and construction site doing a lot of the work that nobody else wanted to do, of course, and getting paid nothing.
Labor, basically.
That's all right. I'm getting paid and doing it for the love of it, I'm sure. But I learned a lot of valuable lessons and I guess and skills, I suppose, in that space. But my first formal job was actually at a cinema. So we had, and as you said, the introduction, it was somebody that my mum worked with actually. So. And she had a part-time job at the cinema as well, and she worked there. And then she said, and just turned 15 at the time, and they were looking for people to do to clean the cinemas over the school holidays. So and she got me in there, got in there for the school holidays, and that was 2 weeks. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, they said, "You want to stay on?" And that was history. So I basically went through. Learned everything across that business, and I was the first male manager that they had in that business. And and was running that place at a fairly young age and things like that. So it puts you in good stead for those other things that came after that, like owning my own business and all that sort of stuff. So
interesting.
That was my first.
That's really cool. Yeah, and especially it's so different from what you're doing now. Well, I don't know if it's so different, but I love the story about. People that I think that's very undervalued, not intentionally, but and something that just us as society we can talk more about. That the people that they're only one step away from an opportunity, not only for yourself, but you can enable other people as well. You can make introductions. So I love those stories.
Yeah,
that's why I asked that.
Yeah, I think there's a portion of trust associated with people that and you connect with, right? So if you connect with somebody and you trust them, then there's a piece where if something comes up, they reach out or they're willing sort of go above and beyond for you in that space, and those opportunities do sort of present themselves in that space. So,
I love that.
Definitely.
That's really cool. So one of the questions I missed actually was, how do we know each other?
Yeah.
How did we meet?
Interesting. Yeah, so obviously we went through, I think it was LinkedIn first. I think you reached out to me at a point and said, hey, look, I like your profile. I'm really interested. I'm part of this group, the Hub group, and you should come and have a look. And you know, I was at a point in my life and career where I was like, actually, this seems like something that was interest to me, and I was looking to sort of expand my network a bit. And obviously we got talking, and I wasn't there to try and drive business or anything. I was there to actually potentially help somebody else, and that was the difference in that group. And yeah, I found it was a really interesting group, and I've met a few people like yourself that I've sort of kept in touch with along the way. And but yeah, so I think it's a good piece, that giving back more than taking.
100%.
That's a trust piece as well.
Yeah. I was just going to say it dovetails on the back of what we were just talking about regarding your first job. Is, you know, we don't even know each other that well. We met a couple of times right in a professional environment. I think that's part of the journey, is keeping in touch with people, but trying to add value, obviously. And part of it for me, like, you know, when I decided I wanted to start talking to people, just, you know, interview them and see what's going on. Like, a few people came to mind first, if you know what I mean. So something obviously that you presented in that moment, and over the months that we were chatting, like, just highlighted something in my mind that, oh, yeah, okay, this is something that I could probably continue with. So just being strategic around that. So I really like that. And family life. It looks like you're not actually working from home there. You're in the office still.
No, I'm still in the office, and I've got two other people in my office. I usually have about 15 people in the office, but at the moment there's only 3 left, so the rest are working from home. But I'm still here because I have a wife and 2 small kids. I've got a 2.5-year-old and a 5.5-year-old, and the 5.5-year-old is obviously at home now because the schools are shut, but and the 2.5-year-old's at home. So me trying to get something done in a day doesn't happen when I'm at home if those 2 are home. So hence why I'm still coming to the office. But you know, it is interesting. You know, and we've got a 6-month dog as well. So I've got a little puppy there. So I've got all 3 small things that are running around all the place.
There's no work being done if you're at home.
No, which is a challenge. But it is quite dynamic at home as well. And you know, with small kids, you know, where you can't go to the playgrounds anymore, and we're at home on the weekends, and we can't just go to indoor playgrounds and shopping centres and all that sort of stuff, and schools are shutting down, and you know, and how do you talk to the kids about that sort of, and what the whole situation is, and what impact it has, but it's actually interesting because you know, when you talk to the kids, they're actually pretty smart and pretty switched on, right? And they can pick it up pretty quickly, which surprised me, actually. I probably took it a little bit for granted that a 5.5-year-old wouldn't be able to conceptualise what's happening in the world. But when you talk to her, she's like, yeah, Dad, I know what's going on, and you have to wash your hands, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. So hats off to the education department too.
Yes.
The school she's at, they have done a really good job of educating the kids in that space. And you know, I guess and we're FaceTiming the grandparents instead of seeing the grandparents. So the kids are like, yeah, that's cool. I'm on the phone, and the technology is there for them to do that as well in isolation. So yeah, it's all working quite well. But so far we're all COVID free in our household. But it is what it is, right?
Yeah. No, my wife's a teacher, and so I can relate to that scenario, and definitely hats off as well to all the teachers that are doing their part. Initially, I actually didn't want my wife to go to work because, for obvious reasons, you know, I didn't want her to get sick.
Risk, right?
100%, mate. But because she's so selfless, she wasn't even thinking about that. The thing she thought was the kids, obviously. That's why she is a teacher. She loves being in that environment. And so, you know, I kind of got over myself a little bit, and I couldn't be more prouder, right? They're literally doing such a good job, like helping prop up obviously the education
Sure.
for the kids, but obviously with the healthcare sector as well, helping in that regard. So, man, that it's
Yeah, well, my wife's a doctor, so she's an obstetrician
oh
gynecologist
wow,
at the Mater. So they're all in full sort of scenario mode planning and trying to contingencies around risk and all this sort of stuff. So they're planning everything. They've shut the hospital doors. It's only essential stuff now. It's a real different business for them as well. And I was the same. She knows and she can understand what's happening in this virus, right, and what's happening globally. And for her, she's conflicted too around,
yes,
she went into the medical industry to help people, and then now she's like, well, I'm the biggest risk to my family, and
wow,
she's got her dad's in his 70s, so he's at risk category, and so she's sort of conflicted, but still every day is dedicated to going to work and making
wow.
sure that other people are being treated and babies are being delivered and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. They're doing a great job.
Yes, well, thanks for sharing that, mate. That's really cool. The one thing I thought of, popped up in my mind when you were talking about your kids and teachers, and
Yep.
more so now doctors and nurses, is TikTok. I don't know if you've
It's
heard
what?
of TikTok, a new social platform. I don't know if it's new, but it's been around for a while, and it's gathering quite a bit of momentum before
Yeah, sure.
even the pandemic. But my wife and I are committed to just learning a little bit more about the social platform, because the primary demographic is literally like primary school / a little bit of high school, and now it's sort of leveling up.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I wasn't sure if maybe your kids, are they like making TikTok videos every day? But the healthcare sector, they've jumped on board too. So there's a lot of like nurses, and this is worldwide. It's basically a social platform, but it's very snappy. So it's basically just videos.
Yep.
And people do dances and like do funny videos and
Yep.
and stuff like that. So it's very lighthearted with them, and
Yep.
that's one of our go-tos. Myself and my wife Tegan, we try and commit ourselves to making a video every day, because it actually helps with exercise as well. Funnily enough, when you're trying to learn a new dance.
Yeah, cool. I like it. Yeah,
It
it's
definitely
interesting. I'll have to look it up.
have a
I'll have
look
to
at it,
look it
mate.
up for
It's
sure.
it's definitely worth it for the lols. But just as soon as I hear, like, because my wife, she's a teacher, obviously, as I said, so that all of her students are on it. So she's kind of like committed to, I want to communicate with them a little bit better. So it's definitely, for anyone who's wondering what it is, definitely get on there and have a look. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, cool. Oh, good. Yeah, no, I'll definitely do that for sure.
So just closing remarks. Anyone that's watching this video, either in my network or yours, what's one thing that someone could help with, either you or your business, during this time?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So I'm like you. I'm open to hearing about best practice and what people are doing, and like I said, for culturally how people are dealing with this in their business. So if anyone's got some good ideas around that, I'm open to that. That'd be great. But on the flip side, mate, I'm here and open to any of your people who are listening or watching. If they want to reach out, I'm happy for them to reach out to me or through you. If they want to discuss anything or share anything, I'm happy to do that. So definitely in that space, and that's what we talked about. I'm happy to give back on any experience or whatever we're doing if people want some guidance. But I think generally people have got to. And what I do is basically look for the positives in things, and you've got to have a positive outlook to it, to everything that happens. So every day this is changing, right? Where the environment we're in is changing, and it's going to be hard on a lot of people, and a lot of people aren't sort of built to handle that very well. So
Yes.
I think you need to look out for people and look out for the cues on people if they are in trouble. But I always find looking for positives and opportunities in these sort of times is the way to sort of stay on top of it. And, and like you say, pivot and adapt to these things. It's the best way forward.
100%, mate. Yeah, and that's one of the partly the reason why we're talking. And one thing that I've committed to myself to stay positive, like you're saying, during this time, is to learn a new skill, I guess, and put myself out there. And so. That will be my suggestion to anyone watching as well, is just learn something new. during this time. And I'm sure there's a lot of learnings that can come from that. So thank you so much, mate.
Yeah, no dramas, mate. No dramas. I think there's a lot of, just to say, there's a lot of industries that that haven't seen this type of disruption, I suppose, in for a long time. You know, you had the trades, electrical in particular, and trades, you know, through the GFC took a hard hit in 2009, and then the mining industry took a hit in about 2014, and they sort of bounced back, and they're fairly strong. And I'm seeing that those industries are pretty solid at the moment, but there's some others that aren't. But you know, they can learn from other sort of industries as well. So yeah, no, it's going to be interesting times, mate, moving forward, definitely.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, mate. Stay safe.
No worries, bud. Yeah, you too, mate. You too, and happy to talk to anybody if they want to reach out.
No drama. Chat soon. See you, mate.
Cheers, mate.